So the science of reading, I do not mean any one curriculum. I do not mean that there is any one way to do it. Okay. There are plethora of strategies and materials that can be used. I think, and the really, really, really critical thing to me is that all teachers need to be trained and equipped with the knowledge and the methods. And then you put the right materials in their hand, and they can know exactly what to do with it. But
it all starts with the kind of saying a few pillars of
it does, yeah. Right? Pillars, and there is a model that explains the science of reading using pillars. I didn't bring any pillars today, but I'll show you what I did.
I'll see myself up.
Okay. And one thing that I think is, one thing that has been really unfortunate is that as the science of reading, which by the way is not new science, it's 40-ish years old, but it's newly, the way that science gets disseminated is a bit of an issue sometimes. But one thing that's happened in some places is that media and social media kind of have made their own spin on the science of reading and very falsely portrayed the myth that science of reading means just phonics. That people who are proponents of teaching the science of reading think that we should just do phonics and nothing but phonics. And that couldn't be any
sounds, right?
Like the sounds that the letters make and just being able to sound out words. And phonics is critical. It's a critical foundational skill, and it's just one piece of becoming a good reader, and it's just one piece of literacy instruction that's rooted in science. So there are various models. Pillars is one of them. The reading rope is one of my favorites. The reading rope was created by Scarborough. It's not new. This is actually 2001. And it shows that there are all of these different factors that go into becoming a skilled reader. Right. It's not even there. People like to think, well, there's the reading and there's the comprehending. Like maybe there are two pieces that get twined together, but actually there are lots and lots of pieces that get twined together sort of in two different categories.
And focusing on any one of these things will be incomplete and, as you say, not reach everyone.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay. And so here's a model for you.
So if right before we go into this, looking at these, would you say that kind of the current issue that we have in Oregon literacy education is that teachers are touching on some of these things, but not all of them? Is that one way of viewing the problem?
Yeah, and maybe an over-reliance on the language comprehension part of the rope, and not adequate, explicit, and systematic and sequential instruction in the foundational skills.
Understood. Okay. All right. So now, tell me how this demonstration gets done.
So if you want to be able to tether something that's really heavy, or maybe lift something that's really heavy, or have like a really strong tether, you want like a big strong rope, right? Yeah. Not like one little strand.
Single strand's not going to get it.
Single strand's not going to get it. Two strands twisted together, not going to get it. Three strands even, so you get my point.
Yeah.
So same thing with reading. It is a misnomer to think that there is phonics and that there is comprehension. All of these parts go in. And so what we want is a strong rope.
And it's a matter of interlacing. Alternating between one or the other.
Yeah, okay. And so these are on here in two different sections. So actually, if I flip this like this. No.
Thank you for writing upside down and right ways up on all of these. I like to be...
Well, I'll show you why.
Okay.
Also, they're in English and Spanish.
In Spanish. Okay, I'm seeing it. Yep, there we go.
They're in English and Spanish because this reading rope, the science of reading, pertains to not only reading in English, but reading in other alphabetic languages as well. So if this is phonological awareness. That is one of the most critical foundational skills. And as I was saying, talking about building a house, once the house is built, you can't see the foundation. But if you're going to go sell a house, I've never actually sold a house either. But my understanding is that you have to have it inspected, and somebody who is qualified because they've had adequate training in how to inspect houses comes and checks all kinds of things, including the foundation, to make sure that if there's an earthquake, that house isn't going to fall down.
And this here is part of the foundation.
This is phonological awareness. This has nothing to do with print. This is with little kids. Can they recognize that words rhyme? Can they understand that dog is that furry thing that wags its tail and barks? But as a word, dog is made up of 3 separate sounds. Mm-hmm. And the first sound is d, and the middle sound is ah, and the last sound is g.
Gotcha.
And if you change that sound in the middle from ah to I, you change the meaning altogether from dog to dig.
That phonological, starting with the sound.
It's phonological awareness. Uh-huh. Okay, that's one of the foundational skills.
Okay. Are all of these foundational skills?
So let me also say the most critical foundational skill is oral language. So literacy, there is no reading, there is no writing if there is no oral language. Right. Literacy is predicated on oral language. So what happens in a home / daycare / preschool between birth and 5 when they come to us as kindergartners is critical. That's all foundational also. Without oral language, literacy can't happen.
Okay.
So each of these decoding, actually.
I hate to be this guy, but I know that we are. I am running down time a little bit. If we could, feel free to summarize it.
So how about this?
Yes.
It's like real life time lapse. Ready?
This
is what it looks like when it's finished.
You're a pro, you know this? Okay, so
I mean,
what
I
are
don't
we
know.
looking at now?
So we're looking at a model. We're looking at this in 3D. You can touch it, manipulate it with your hands. And this is really important. This is part of the science of reading. Many students need multisensory instruction to make the connection between the concept and their brains. They need, this I think is a nice visual. Many people can take a visual. Oh, thank you. That visual helps so much. And there's another subset of people who you give them an actual physical thing to do, movements to make, helps them literally. Multisensory instruction helps make connections between information and the brain and helps kids retain.
So is it fair to say that you think that in your opinion, educating children, teaching kids how to read will only get better and become more efficient if we meet and recognize these foundational pillars, for lack of a better word, and also give them options in terms of how that information is delivered?
Yeah, the teachers need to have the understanding, the knowledge, the training, and then be given the trust to be their professional selves. We wouldn't, if somebody needed a surgery, we wouldn't hand a surgeon who's only spent 2 years studying, all of these things broadly, even all of medical schools, all of these things broadly, we would never hand a surgeon a scalpel and a curriculum and say, just do what it says, just say what it says in bold and do what it says in the fine print. Please don't kill this patient.
Yeah.
For surgeons, any kind of medical provider, lawyers, we make sure they have adequate training. They pass their boards, we license them, and entrust them to do their jobs. Somehow in teaching, we give very surface level training and then think that we can and the publishing companies love to think that this is what you do. Well, here, we made everything they need. We packed it in this pretty box. Buy this use most of your budget on this instead of training teachers and they can just follow this. But it just doesn't work that way.